Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Table Talk, and what we're going to be focusing on today is a bit of philosophy on how you go about arm wrestling and training in such a way that is going to turn you into a Devon Larratt style arm wrestler. Now, the thing about Devon Larratt style arm wrestling is he wins through technique. A lot of people get it wrong. They look at Devon Larratt and just say he is an endurance machine. But if you watch his most recent interview and if you've heard him say these things in the past, a lot of times people mistake endurance with what is in fact just good, efficient technique. Understanding positions, understanding when to move, understanding when to relax, when to attack. Okay, so Devon Larratt style arm wrestling, to learn how to be a Devon Larratt style arm wrestler, you need to have a fundamental understanding of what to do with your hand. Okay, there are so many different things you can do with your hand, so many effects and technical aspects to arm wrestling in a hand-based way versus arm wrestling with the arm. There's only so many different things you can do with your arm, far less than what you can do with your hand. And therefore, the opportunities, the instincts that you need to develop really need to be focused on the hand. Now, Devon Larratt gives a big clue as to how to train and how to develop the style of arm wrestler that he uses when you watch him in practice. Okay, Devon Larratt is very different in practice than he is in competition. In competition, Devon Larratt might be all up, taking control of the center of the table, really looking to dominate the bone line and use his inside techniques to get a stop before he then puts that squeeze on his opponents. But if you see him in training, think about how you saw him with Krasimir Kostadinov. He was getting pinned a lot. Okay, there's a reason for that. But if you watch him train with almost anyone, I've had Devon come out to Australia, he trains like this with everyone. Okay, and what he does, okay, he sits down in that chair. He doesn't have a real chair, but he's got his feet forward when he's on the table. He's leaning back, and what he's doing is he's taking his bicep and his shoulder connection out of the training. Now, there's a few reasons why Devon will do this. One of the great benefits is you're not going to put your connective tissue on the line. In practice, you're not going to get stretched out. Okay, so your inner elbow from driving forward, your shoulder from trying to maintain that bone line, they're not going to get stressed because at the end of the day, you need to save that connective tissue for competition. Look, you can take the Toddzilla approach and just get it conditioned and just thrash until you are so immensely strong in side pressure. But if you want to be a Devon Larratt style arm wrestler, what you really need to be focusing on is the hand. So the other benefit of this method, as we said, sitting down in the chair, is that you are going to develop instincts in your hand better than you can imagine. Now, the way to execute this form of training, the way to set this path alight, is to realize that you are going to let your opponent dictate the position of your hand. And what I mean by that is when you sit down in that chair, you're going to let your opponent dictate the horizontal plane and the vertical plane of where your hand is. You're going to relax the bicep. We don't want to be hard on anything. We want to learn to arm wrestle in a relaxed fashion. So to do that, we need to turn off essentially everything, and we're going to use counter punches in our hand against our opponent. So if my opponent wants to rise, I'm going to rise with him. Okay, I'm going to rise with him by dropping onto my tricep. Okay, that'll increase the height of my hand. If my opponent wants to go sideways, I'm going to just go with him. Remember, I'm like a trailer and he's like a truck. My opponent is, that is, in the practice. And so wherever he goes, I'm just going to turn and allow him to go there, follow him in height, up and down, not using my bicep. Okay, the only active force that I am going to use is in my hand. Okay, cupping, pronating, chopping, rising. That's pretty much all you're going to need to do. And the occasional kickback, you're going to learn how to use all these tools in your hand. Okay, supination, all of it's going to start to come into play. Now, the way to execute this, like we said, feet forward, sit down, let your opponent dictate where the terms are. Let your arm open, let your bicep be relaxed, height. You're going to stop people with your hand alone. Now, the beauty of this thing, aside from it being incredibly rehabilitative if you're already sore, and the injury prevention side of things, is the instinctive awareness that you're going to develop in your hand. Like I said, the reason why Devon Larratt outlasts people on the table, it's not because he is going hard and out-enduring them. That is not what is happening. What is happening is Devon is filling gaps that his opponents are leaving. Okay, your opponent's errors, when you arm wrestle like this, you will feel your opponent driving for a pin. You stop them with your hand, they will inevitably rest for a moment for another surge, or they'll rest to drain some lactic acid, or they'll transition into another angle that they're going to hit. In every one of those moments, there will be a natural feeling that when you're arm wrestling like this, you'll feel that gap, and your hand will naturally fill it. This is what I call passive arm wrestling. Okay, you're not actively trying to take anything off someone. You're just providing a passive defense that's putting a bleed in general on that person's connective tissue. And as long as you have a sufficient cup and pronation and chop to get a stop, which you'll be pleasantly surprised, you can stop someone entirely just with your fingers down here in a cup. You don't need your whole arm to do it. Once you've got this down pat, particularly it works well on the straps, of course. Okay, but once you've got that ability to do that, you're going to fill the gaps of your opponent that they leave, and all you're going to do is slowly position yourself as they look to rest, as they look to make mistakes, or with no active force, you're going to find yourself back over here, even though your first stop was here. Passive, 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 and eventually you'll be standing up here. And you'll be in this position. Looks very similar to where Devon Larratt finishes his matches, where he's here and he's talking to people. And he'll start to talk and talk and talk, and eventually his opponents just give up. Devon Larratt rarely needs the pin, but this is the style of arm wrestling that Devon Larratt works on. Now, the beauty of this is, when you train like this and you protect your connective tissue, okay, you're developing what I think is the most important thing in the game, which is hand. Hand, at the end of the day, will win leverage. It will stop matches better than anything else. Come comp day, you don't arm wrestle like this anymore. Come comp day, everything that you've just developed, all the instincts that you've just become aware of in your hand, okay, you now add that bicep connection. You now add that pec and shoulder and inner elbow, and you fight for the center of the table. Okay, don't move, ready, go. You can take people out of their bone line. Okay, and trust me, having a strong hand and an instinctive hand is the best thing to be able to do this. You got to be brave to be Devon Larratt and just bang forward like that. But once you do that, okay, your hand, the instincts that you've developed in that open arm style, hand only arm wrestling in practice, when you add all those other things to it, you become incredibly powerful because you've got this super aware hand. And now instead of stopping out here, you don't move, ready, go, you're stopping people here. And those same instincts that you've developed are now in addition to all of the power that you've been bringing. So you can train all these other connections in the gym, you can train them however you want. But the reason why Devon Larratt arm wrestles like this, I believe, is A, because he doesn't want to expose his tendons during practice. It allows you to have an immense amount of table time. Every day of the week you can train like this with people. Even if they're trying to pin you, that's fine. Even if they can pin you, it's just a matter of letting them pin you and trying to make them pin you slower and slower and slower. Always just using hand, cup, chop, rotation, etc. Okay, so it's an amazing way to arm wrestle. I'm a big fan of it. You can do it every day of the week without getting sore. The rehabilitative benefits of it are fantastic, but easily the best benefits of it, and it's what sets Devon Larratt apart in the world of arm wrestling, is that you develop instincts better than your opponent's got. So without even needing to consciously think about it, every micro error that your opponent takes, you just naturally take the advantage from it. Every time they put their foot wrong, you just fall into the gap. Without actively forcing into the gap, you just fall into it and get all that leverage. That's why Devon Larratt is so good. That's why people think that Devon Larratt has the most amazing endurance on the planet. Okay, it's all because he's an incredibly efficient arm wrestler, and that is all stemmed from the way that he practices. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that one, and I'll see you guys again next time.